Hey, hey. Okay, so I want to teach a little bit of the very much amount of stuff I know on physical training. If you don't have a gym, you got no excuse. You don't even need a bench, but I got a bench, so I'm gonna use it. All you have to really do is start going on walks if you're overweight or hurt and injured. Start going on walks. Start doing mobility work. Start doing dynamic stretching. But the stretching isn't gonna fix injuries. You gotta actually do low impact effort for the muscle. For example, if you got injured calves or ligaments, you can't just stretch. If you're hunched over from work or from driving, from being in the same positions for years, you gotta put those muscles to work. You gotta push the muscle. For example, if you got really tight lower back, glutes, or hamstrings, stretching isn't gonna fix it. There's a lot of experts talking about this. Look at other info if you want to confirm. So, if you want a basic plan and you have no idea how to work out, this is for you. Start with all body. After you warm up and you do a walk, you do a little bit of cardio if you want, a little bit of jump rope, a little bit of treadmill running or biking on the stationary bike. You don't need that much. Just warm up your body so your blood warms up. For all body, you can literally go outside. If you're healthy, one of the best things you can do for legs are sprints. High intensity sprints. You got a hill, do some hill sprints. You can do that 2, 3, 4 times a week and you're gonna look at the sprinters. Huge legs, amazing. I need to sprint more. I haven't sprinted like in a couple months. I'm gonna implement that soon. Before the end of the year, I'm gonna do a couple sprints. Wait, we're November. A lot of sprints. So, for men, you can do push-ups, you can do pull-ups, you can do sprints. If you don't have a pull-up bar, what can you do for back? There's a lot of mobility work you can do for back without a gym. But if you got a dumbbell, like this case, let's start with, when I'm pulled, I usually start warming up the bigger muscles. It's probably one of the smartest things you can do with farmer carries and lunges. That way you warm up the legs, you warm up the core, and you warm up your traps, your shoulders, your arms. So, get whatever weight you think is appropriate and literally just walk with dumbbells. Shoulders back, core braced. Do some laps. Just keep your posture appropriate. That's it. Lunges, I would not recommend you start your workout with weighted lunges. Let's see, how's this getting? Let's go. I apologize for the ugly background. It is what it is. I got working work with right now at home, at the garage. That is better than perfect. You can do them in place when you need a lot of space. You got a little bit of space, walking lunges. You can even switch feet. Once you got that, you do a few cycles of lunges and farmer carries. Your body's all warmed up. If you really want to hit the all body, do some push-ups. I would recommend. If you can't do push-ups, you have no excuse. You could be old, you could be injured everywhere else. As long as your shoulders are good, even if you can't do a regular push-up, you could degress and get on your knees. And this is better than nothing. If you can do a regular push-up, even better. Now, if you really want to get some good mobility work, you can start getting dynamic with it. I think the Indians do a specific kind of push-up, like a burpee like that, where they get their legs active, angled down, so you're getting a little bit of the upper back muscles. That's pretty cool. You do that 10 cycles. You do, I don't know, however many meters or reps of lunges until it starts burning. And then farmer carries and push-ups on your knees. Excellent. Now, if you're more advanced, if you're amateur, even elite, they would agree with me. For strength training, it's neurological. You don't train the same for strength, for neurological adaptation to get the most out of your muscle, than hypertrophy, which is stimulating the muscle in a different way to force it to grow and tear the muscles, to tear the fibers, so that it can carry more load or do that movement better, you know, with more strength, with more mass, growing the fibers or multiplying the fibers. I forget the science of that, but look at Renaissance periodization, Dr. Mike. And anyone that knows how to appropriately train, I got certified in the past. I trained with a Navy SEAL, ex-Navy SEAL, Navy SEAL. You know, you never really start being an elite human being once you're in that position. And I've trained with a lot of athletes in the past, and anyone that knows a little bit about strength training, hypertrophy, and they look at the science, it's not that complicated. You can get really detailed about it. You don't have to get that complicated about it. Strength, 1 to 10 rep ranges to failure. That's your working strength right there. For hypertrophy, the science indicates for the last decades the same thing. Anything from 8 to 30 reps, pushing to failure, and you're going to be stimulating for muscle growth, for size, and that's going to correlate to strength. There's an interlead right there. That is the basic of strength and hypertrophy or bodybuilding training. Now, if you're an athlete and if you want to train for longevity, then I would recommend you do some athletic training, some mobility work. Look at the most elite athletes and coaches on earth. They all warm up in a very different way than amateur or even most professional bodybuilders. Most strength athletes, Olympic lifters, they got that part dialed in. To not get injured, you have to really turn on your computer, your brain. You have to do stuff that makes your brain prepare for all-out movement, so it's ready, so the computer's warmed up. Neurological adaptation, neurological switching of the nervous system, so that you can push and carry loads fast without injury. It's not really warming up the muscle, like physically. Like that is not the most efficient way to do a warm-up. It is not. I can confirm it with experience. I kept getting hurt, and then I started seeing these elite coaches talk about how they warm up their athletes for strength training, for Olympic lifting, for professional sports. And I'm like, oh shit, that's how we trained in MMA. That's how we trained Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu. That's how we warmed up. We turned on the nervous system. I literally sent a message to my trainer, and I thanked him a week ago or so. I said, hey man, I don't know if you knew, but we were warming up properly. Like, it turned on the neurological adaptation of our body to be able to do full out explosion of movements, and that's why I didn't get hurt before. I should have never stopped warming up like Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai. So a really good example of how to warm up the neurological adaptations, turn on the nervous system, are single leg movements, like back and forth, jumping on one leg. That's basically telling your brain, turn on, let's go. There's a bunch of other movements. I don't know if it's also mostly neurological or if it's just more mobility work focused. These squats right here, these things, since they're incorporating a lot of balancing, they're definitely doing something for the neurological switching. and they definitely are putting solid pressure. It's not just a static stretch holding. There's a lot of info, actually, a lot of data, as Professor Dr. Mike talks about in Renaissance Periodization on static stretching. There's been studies on this. If you stretch before doing hypertrophy, bodybuilding, or strength training, you're actually lowering your capacity of how much you can output. So it's not good for the session. It's probably best for after, so you could kind of not be so tense. And even then, is it necessary if you're doing the proper warm-ups? I mean, David Goggins does it, so probably. It's probably good after training. So yeah, you don't need a gym. You can do sprints, you can do, proper warm-ups like elite coaches. Just look up whoever you want to on the most elite coaches, which are doing content for free. You don't even need me. I am just pushing you to the direction you need to seek the information you can get at hand for free. You don't even have to pay for coaching. Just look at their content, put it into practice, and start training. Set an agenda. Set some goals. The most happy people on earth are the ones that set goals. It's a little controversial for some really highly successful human beings like Myron Golden, but that's a different level of living with the Holy Spirit guiding you, and just pushing through your mission, working for the kingdom. That's next level. But right now, if you're not at that level and you haven't given your life to Christ, and you're just trying to figure out your life in the physical and you're in the flesh, well, I think it's very important to take care of your body, and that way you're going to be more sensitive to the spirit, you're going to be more sensitive to the soul, to your mind and emotions, and you're going to make better decisions, which are going to spiritually get you more sensitive to what God is trying to tell you consistently. Like it says in Revelations, Jesus is knocking at the door. Is it Revelations? I think it's Revelations of your heart. So yeah, you got no excuse to start training. There's a lot of people that have recovered from insanely tragic injuries and doing amazing. People with cancers that are training and are in better shape than me, and I'm just like, holy shit, they got down to less than 100 pounds. It's crazy. There's so many cases. The information's out there. I'm just trying to direct you, spark you with the motivation so that you can set down the goals, at least get that lifestyle, that traction going for fitness. Don't think you're too old. Don't think you're too injured. If you don't have any positive reasons. Here's the interesting thing: people that when they're too spiritual, when they're too religious, when they're too spiritually inclined, they're not doing the will of God, because God made us a triad being. He made us body, soul, and spirit, and the body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. So if you truly believe that, if you truly have a relationship with God through Christ, with Holy Spirit, you're going to take care of your temple. You're not going to work out for the flesh. You're not going to work out to look good. You're not even going to work out just to feel good, which is very healthy, right? Working out to feel good and take care of your temple. But you're going to do it with that. You're going to be doing it knowing how I'm going to have to respond to how I took care of my body at the end of my life. And you're going to experience the consequences of not taking care of it or taking care of it. So might as well get into action. There's two pains in this life: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. So get to it. It's gonna feel amazing. All those chemicals and endorphins, and there's actually new info pointing to our endocannabinoid system, which is one of the main things that has to do with our hormones and the happy chemicals, not necessarily mainly endorphin. So that's really interesting. Get to it. Let's go. Now, I'm gonna do a separate video on what to do with how to warm up your shoulders, how to actually, activate the muscles, not just the neurological aspect of it right now. It's gonna be another video. So I'm out.